What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. And there's a reason why Elon Musk purchased Twitter. And this is my theory. This is the number one reason, is to have ground to fight on figuratively in this cultural battle that's happening. And this is a perfect example through a story of what recently happened to Saagar, but it happens to Libs of TikTok, it happens to Project Veritas, it happens to everyone who is a who doesn't look at the state as God, who is a non-corporatist, basically. So let's look at what happened to Saagar. He was talking about Vijaya Gadde. Vijaya Gadde is the lawyer who was on with Tim Pool, Joe Rogan. That will probably be a better way to describe her if you know that, because that video has 7 million views. So a lot of people know who she is. Jack Dorsey was on there too. So Saagar said that Vijaya Gadde, the top censorship advocate at Twitter, who famously gaslit the world on Joe Rogan's podcast and censored the Hunter Biden laptop story, is very upset at the Elon Musk takeover. Okay, he's entitled to his opinion. I agree with it 100%. She was crying that this is in response to the Political article where she was allegedly crying during the video staff meeting. Go off on a tangent. I'll come back to this. Vijaya Gadde is a corporatist and she is a savage one. That is my opinion. That is speculation. And I'm basing that on the Joe Rogan podcast and other interviews and stuff she's done. Go to YouTube. She's all over there with different opinions. She is savage. These people are really, really hardcore. Like they will cut you off. There's no limit to what they won't do to shut you up. She was the one behind reportedly behind Trump getting banned, behind the laptop of hell getting suppressed, and many other bannings to protect what they deem as oppressed or classes of people that need protection. So she was behind, she's the face of it all. And the Twitter employees know that. Her power comes through their loyalty to the state. Their loyalty to the state is through her. They look at her as a hero. And they don't look at her as a hero due to principles, not fact or principles. You watching this channel, you probably wouldn't be watching this channel if you're not on the search for truth, whether you disagree with me or not. This isn't a channel where somebody who's just a bootlicker for the state is going to enjoy the conversation. So my point is, they act on emotions, not principle. If you act 100% on emotions, you're gonna hate this channel. If you act 100% on emotions, you're gonna love Vijaya Gadde. They know the principled approach isn't to ban Trump. Obviously, they wouldn't want Obama to be banned or Clinton or anybody else. But for Trump, it's okay because emotionally they hate him. So she crying on that call is, I wasn't there. I'm just saying hypothetically, it could be just alligator tears. It could be an act. That's how savage she is, to play to their emotions. Back to Saagar. Saagar got a reply from Elon Musk. So Elon Musk replied saying, okay, Saagar, you got a point there. He, quote, suspending the Twitter account of a major news organization for publishing a truthful story was obviously incredibly inappropriate. Nothing controversial there. He's talking about, sounds like he's hinting at the laptop from hell. Another side note, and I'll get back to this, but Aaron Rupar, I want to make sure if anybody saw this or that they can see this, how these journalists they're just normal people. They make mistakes and they're disingenuous like anybody else. Aaron Rupar, who's known for terrible journalism, said Elon Musk isn't contractually allowed to disparage Twitter, and yet his last 2 tweets have been to disparage Twitter officials. He is an idiot. He has created a market for a channel like mine, anyone watching this channel, to just get a camera and do your own thing, as long as you try to search for the truth, admit when you're wrong, and and you're authentic. Because this is disingenuous. It's terrible reporting. I'll show you why. Number one, the SEC filing for this merger plan is public. It's on the internet. You can just go to the internet and see it. Agreement and plan of merger. And I did not read this whole thing. Don't have time to read the whole thing, but I did. You can just do a search through it. I've been searching through it for what I need to find. X Holdings 1 and 2 are Elon Musk and Twitter. So this is it right here. Number one, let's look at it. What happens if the deal falls apart? This is what happens if the deal falls apart. If the deal falls apart, then either side, I'm not going to bore you with the legalese, either side would have to pay the other side $1 billion. But let's think of, so if Elon Musk says something inappropriate and then the Twitter board, the deal can still fall apart and the Twitter board or the shareholders say no. Either one, if it falls apart on the board side, then the board has to give Elon $1 billion. If it falls apart on Elon's side, then Elon has to give up $1 billion and he doesn't get to buy the company. So why would he risk it to do a tweet about Vijaya Gotti? So Aaron, you're not smarter than Elon. So you have to think about it. Why would I, if that's true, then how could I be right? He knows he's wrong, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter. That's why they talk about disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. They want ownership of that. That's all they care about. So it makes no sense. Even if the deal did fall apart, this stock would shatter. Elon would potentially sell his shares, stock would shatter, and then he could still buy it back. So he has more leverage. That's the checkmate. So what Elon Musk is doing is he's already got them in. The deal isn't settled yet. So it's like one move before. Isn't there a move? I forgot the chess name for it, but he's one move before the checkmate. And if you can't stop the one move before the checkmate, you're basically in checkmate. So what's happening is they're almost in checkmate and Elon's running around the board and dancing and all that. And they don't like it, but tough. No matter what you do, no matter how long you stall, checkmate is coming. So that's why you're seeing liberal tears trending. That's why you're seeing conservatives on Twitter like, I'm drinking liberal tears right now and it feels so good. Because there's nothing you can do really that I see at this point. So that makes no sense. But then let's say Elon did make a mistake. So I said, what's the deals about what he can and can't say? I found that in the document here. In the document, the investor cannot issue tweets about the merger or transactions contemplated hereby and disparage that. So the thing he can't disparage is about the merger or the transaction that they're contemplating. He can disparage other things as long as it doesn't have anything to do with the merger or transactions. So if he would have said, hey, after the merger, she's fired, I think that would have been a violation because he would have tied it in with the merger. So my whole point on that side note is, look at Aaron the Rupar, people following him and listening to this clown. He probably read this headline from Bloomberg that said Elon Musk is barred from disparaging Twitter when tweeting about a deal where it's come from a biased angle, Mike Bloomberg. And then, I'm going to go back to the Washington Post here in a second. So he probably didn't read the full article. I guarantee you he did. Well, I think he did. I don't know if he did the work, but I think he knows that what he's saying makes no sense. So that I just wanted to check him on that. So we go back to what happened with Saagar. He tweeted this here. And then after that, the Washington Post jumped into it. The Washington Post jumped into it with an article. Here's their article. The article says Elon Musk boosts criticism of Twitter executive prompting online attacks. They use the word targeting very often in here. The word targeting, believe it or not, came up 5 times. The targeting of employees. Musk's response Tuesday was the first time he targeted, has been personal or targeted an individual Twitter employees. Targeted is in this article 5 times. Harm. Then they use harm here as well. They're trying to tie Saagar, Mike Cernovich, who Elon Musk also replied with a negative comment about Twitter lawyer. I think it's Jim Baker. This article is trying to tie Cernovich. I'm going to search on Cernovich here. Cernovich tweeted about the Twitter Deputy General Counsel, Jim Baker, drawing a response from Musk. So they're trying to get Saagar in here as someone who is disingenuous. Started with a tweet from political podcast host Saagar Enjeti. Of course, they didn't label the breaking point. They wanted to attack him, but they didn't want to give him too much pub. Pretty funny. So Saagar's there. He's mentioned. So basically the gist of this article is saying Twitter employees feel threatened. Look at that. They obviously have the racist term in here. Twitter users piled on to the criticism of Gotti, including calling Musk to fire her, no problem there, and using racist language. Now, I'll be clear, racist language is not for me. I don't use that. I don't participate in that, but it's not illegal. So I don't have a problem with that either. That's up to somebody else. You don't get to keep your job necessarily and all that other stuff. There can be consequences, but there's nothing illegal about calling somebody a racist word, period. That's what free speech is. So what? As long as you don't violate their rights. No threats. Well, Libs of TikTok had her name and a literal unlive threat on Twitter. People reported it and Twitter said it was fine. This was before Elon. So, and obviously, so they don't care as long as it's aimed at the person that they hate. So Gotti was born in India, so they're going down this route. Notice what they aren't talking about. They aren't talking about the substance of the story, of the topic. Did Saagar have a point when he said she gaslit people? She's the head of all these bad policies that happen at Twitter. No, they didn't even talk about that in the article. So let's go back to Saagar, and Saagar was named in the article. And it's common practice for a journalist to reach out for comment. And Saagar said, the Washington Post says, I did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Complete BS. They emailed my producer at 2 a.m. Eastern, 7 hours after Elon Musk replied to my tweet with the following ridiculous questions. So they send it out at 2 a.m., give him what? How long are they giving him to reply? He's asleep probably. So he says, the Twitter executive I mentioned literally went on the Joe Rogan Experience and is therefore the definition of a public figure. My criticism of her for a policy she publicly has defended is in no way responsible for what rando account may say to her. Yeah, I'm not. If somebody listens to one of these videos and goes on a racist rant, that's not on me. I don't care what anybody says. I own my content. So here's the email from Elizabeth here, the one who wrote the article I just showed you. Here's the questions. Hey there, we're quickly writing up his tweets tonight about Vijaya Gotti with the peg that Musk is piling on to some of them. Some questions for Saagar. Does Saagar have any concerns that mentioning a specific Twitter executive could result in attacks on that executive? What are the responsibilities here? For example, one of the commenters on the tweets made racist comments against Gotti and others said she would be fired. That's the first question from the Washington Post writer. And I think for these, you can't respond. I'm going to tell you, this is why. I'm going to end with my conclusion here really soon. Let me read this second question. What does he hope to accomplish by calling out Gotti and getting Elon involved? Saagar is like, I didn't get Elon involved. I didn't even add him. I don't think he even at Elon. Maybe I have to double check. Furthermore, I had no idea Elon Musk would reply. Accusing me of bringing him into it is insane. What was I hoping to accomplish? What does anyone hope to accomplish when sending an effing tweet? This is a great example of how the media smears you. I make a substantive point. Randos say something. Now myself and Elon Musk and some are somehow racist responsible for them, all to cover up the fact that they substantively agree with censorship. Really good point. Then they say, somebody said, get a handle on your people, Jeff. Jeff Bezos and them, they're out of control. And here's what I'm going to end with. This is why Elon Musk is buying Twitter. Because the same thing happened with Tesla. So Tesla, maybe a car would get on fire or something, and where a car would get into a crash, and they thought it was on autopilot. And for a lot of these that I've seen, it wasn't. But so what would happen is Elon used to have a press department, public relations. Public relations would reach out to Elon Musk and say, hey, your car got on fire. Give us a comment. Same with what they did with Saagar here. They said, do you have concerns that mentioning a specific Twitter executive could result in attacks on that executive? So that's a no-win question to say. You can't say no. But so how do you do it? You say yes and then say, but yeah, I'm concerned about that in general. But so it's a tough position to be in. And what Elon Musk said was, I'm done with this. The Washington Post or someone who has a clear agenda against me comes to me for comment through my public relations team. We make a comment. They take the comment and twist it back again into a bad position, no matter what the comment is, whether it's a brief no or what, they twist it into a bad position, and that just keeps the bad news in the news cycle longer than it should be. So Elon Musk went ahead and fired, basically, he has maybe a couple people, basically his whole PR department, and he does no advertising. He fired his PR department. And when that happened months ago, I have a video way back on this channel. You can look at it. I said, Elon Musk, you have to, it might have even said buy Twitter. It was definitely, you have to, I think I said start your own social media company is what my position was. And that it turns out I was absolutely right. His plan for public relations, and I think this started brewing from when he canceled the public relations maybe a couple years ago now. It was like 1 to 2 years ago. I think he knew he had to start his own newspaper, public relations, social media. Buying Twitter seems to be the best answer and result to that. So that you see why he bought Twitter. Look at Saagar's comment here. Saagar gets attacked, in my opinion, on by the Washington Post. What are his outlets to retort to the Washington Post? He would have to do something on a podcast, his YouTube channel, all that type of thing. But how do we know that he doesn't get shadow banned or throttled down on Twitter or YouTube or anywhere else that he is? So his response to the big newspaper could get hidden. Same with Twitter. Same with Tesla and Elon Musk. Elon Musk might say, hey, I don't know, is Twitter just throttling down my responses? Or there's a lot of people who like Tesla, and they release news, factual news that's in favor of Tesla. Are they getting suppressed? So I'm getting attacked by the Washington Post, Bloomberg, Car and Automotive, Consumer Reports. These are people who have investments in Legacy Auto and other EVs that are competitors to Elon. So I'm getting attacked by all those, and my only response is on a platform that hates me. I've got to buy this. So then now people that's why they don't want this to happen. Now people have an avenue to fight back, and they probably won't get throttled when Elon's done with it. So that was a long way to show you why I think the number one reason over data, because he already has data. So he wants the data, but he doesn't really need it. Over that is protecting his interests, and then free speech is good for him because he has great products. So let me know what you think. That was a roundabout way to get to that point there, but that explains the anger over Elon taking Twitter, because that allows people who are non-corporatists, non-bootlickers to fight back. And I think I'll end with this. I think what Vijaya Gadde the message she was trying to send to those Twitter employees is that we've lost the battle, but the war is not over. Take care.